Artificial intelligence is changing everything. I'm on a journey to use AI to simplify my life. You're welcome to join me as I explore, experiment, and share everything I learn. Quick disclaimer, this series is more for me than it is for you. I offer no guarantee that this will be either entertaining or informative. With that, let's look at this next topic.
Hello. Last week we learned about use cases for different AI tools, and this week we tried some out. If you recall the first video in the playlist, we created assignments. Here, let me share my screen. Here is the syllabus that I have here with the assigned topics for this week, specific use cases. There's the topics, and here are the assignments. We'll be going over these assignments today in this video. The last one I think is the most interesting by far. I think that's consistent across the three units or topics. Alright, so assignment 2.1. Find a long online article or a research paper, use an AI tool to summarize it in 3 different formats: short paragraph, bulleted list of key points in a single sentence. I used one of the research papers that was recommended by or part of our reading assignments. So I said, please summarize your article found here into a short 8-sentence paragraph. It summarized it into a short 8-sentence paragraph. It's pretty helpful. And of course, key list of bullet points. I like bullet points so much more. Just having the key idea here with some additional details there, it works so much better with my brain. Than a single sentence, of course, is profoundly transforming healthcare. Cool. Assignment 2, creative collaboration. Use a generative AI tool to create a piece of art or design for an image. Try to fix something by prompting. Or give a first draft and ask it to rewrite it. I decided to give it a first draft. I write some essays and record them for my personal channel. So I took one that I had already recorded, or already written, and said, hey, I have written an essay here, please take it, rewrite it in the third person, as if Hank, that was the person I could think of at the time, was narrating my internal dialogue. And I think it did that. I probably should have done somebody else, because I'm not actually super familiar with Hank Green's writing style. I just know he's an author. Hashtag 50 Shades of Grey. That better have been Hank. Yes. Oh, was it John? Might have been John. Detour. 50 Shades of Grey. Wow. And what was it? Oh no, it was the Stars one. Fault in Our Stars. Fault in Our Stars author. John. It was John. Ah, well, should have been John. Anyways. Well, I'm sure it was Hank Green's style. That's awkward. Alright, and I was like, oh, this is cool, let's go a bit further. How about if somebody's observing the brain and seeing thoughts happening in real time? And then there were a few times where it says, oh, the observer notes this. So it's like a third and a fourth person view. But I was like, let's just do third person. Keep it all in one. I thought that this was pretty interesting. I mean, I wrote the essay, right? And so seeing this from a third person's point of view, like looking at a brain, it was pretty cool. However, no, that was assignment 2. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Assignment 3 was the prompt library. I've been doing this throughout the whole course, so I added some here, and this is just that. That was pretty straightforward. Now this last project, I think this is the coolest one. Identify a repetitive task in your life. Use AI tools to automate or streamline this task. Document your before and after process, explaining the impact of AI tools. Now, for a church I'm involved in, I'm like a men's group person, and I'm in charge of weekly meetings to make sure that things are going well. So I have to make a weekly agenda. I wanted to automate that because it's boring. So I asked Gemini. I said, yo, I am looking to create automate the creation of agenda for a weekly meeting. Most of the structure of the agenda will not change from week to week, but I want the automation to be able to incorporate notes from a previous meeting as follow-ups, essentially. So I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Can you help me get started? He was like, yeah, well, you can do this. You can do this. It integrates well, allows for custom automation without needing external software. And I was like, well, I was thinking more like using Zapier or like some other automation tool, but if I can do it all within Google Docs and Google and Gemini can help me, I'll do that. So it walked me through, set up the agenda template, do all this, then automate the follow-up and creation. And it is Google Apps Script. I was hoping to stay a little bit away from code for a bit, but Google Apps Script is code. It is a JavaScript-based platform, as it says right here. So we will move forward with the code option. Full disclosure, I do have a technical background. I took some coding classes in college. My major had some, my degree had some development classes and whatnot. However, I haven't done development for years. So I was hoping to kind of stay away from it because if you're following this, I wanted it to be more accessible. One thing I learned, though, throughout this process is that learning how to code is so much simpler. It's so much easier to learn how to code using an AI tool, because it helps you. It gives you feedback immediately, right? Back in the day when I learned how to code, we had to Google so many things. Since I spent so much time on Stack Overflow, just trying to understand things, and I think that was really helpful for me because it helped me learn and understand code. However, if I had a tool like Gemini helping me learn how to code, I would have learned so much quicker. So that being said, there is code in this project. Don't be intimidated. It's not that difficult, especially with this code, especially with the Gemini to help you understand and ask questions about the code and whatnot. So, disclaimer there. So it gave me all this stuff. This initial code, as I talked about, was pretty straightforward. It's nice how it has the template 2, complex part 3, send an email. This is pretty straightforward code. It's just you set a date, turn it into a string, add a new name, create a new file, create a new document. Then at the end, create the email, send the email. And this part we will worry about later, essentially. So the initial code is pretty good. And I've learned since that I was using this Flash model, Pro is better for code. So even without using the Pro model, this was still pretty good, which was a good framework. I didn't know how to schedule the script to run, so I had to learn how to do that. I believe I have that. Yeah, I have that set up here. So you just do that. Triggers, you set up. You add a trigger, create the function. Time driven, I do want it to be based on a day. No, this would be a week, right? It would be Fridays, etc. So yeah, this is straightforward. Setting up the trigger. It walked me through exactly how to do that. So that was pretty straightforward. So that was helpful. Next, I looked at this code. We need to replace this with our templates ID and our folders ID. So I was like, I'm not really sure how to do that. So help me identify what I do there. And it was great. So at that point, I was like, okay, so I have this. I can now start developing the logic for actually parsing the previous week's document, which is what Gemini said we should do right here. So I was like, great. All right. I think this was an important part for me, was that I identified what we needed to do. I was like, okay, so what are the steps if I was doing this manually, right? If you think of a process that you do weekly, consider making a grocery trip or a grocery list. What's the first thing you do? You identify what you want to eat that week. What's the second thing you do? You identify what ingredients go into into those meals. Third, you identify, if you're fancy, you identify if there are any sales going on that can help you get them for cheaper. And fourth, you put your shopping list together and decide on the store to go to. So this is a similar thing. You just need to specify the steps exactly. So I did. I said, okay, I need to identify the previous week's document, pull the content, sort through the document, find the action steps, add the action steps from last week's meeting to the new document as follow-ups. Then, of course, I didn't want to just have Gemini do it for me, so I was like, okay, anything I missed? Like, yeah, you could add marking items as completed. I didn't end up adding this, but it was helpful to have. Okay, so then after a brief discussion with Gemini, I was like, great, can you point me to some resources that can help me to learn how to write step 1, which is identifying the previous week's document. Here, this is where the Gemini is really helpful in helping you learn how to code, is it can describe what the different functions do, what the different objects do, and all that stuff, and how you use it. So you look at the class drive app. So yeah, it walked me through the specific things, and then it gave me a snippet of code that I used almost copy and paste. There were a couple of changes that I had to make. I ran it, received the following error. It said, this isn't working. I was like, okay, can you help me identify why this isn't working? It was, oh yes, because the query string you passed to this is not formatted correctly, so you need to format that correctly. We went back and forth a bit. One thing I learned is that regex is very difficult for Gemini to get right. And maybe it was just because I was using flash mode. But regex is short for regular expression. Now what that means is you want to find a set of characters within a string, right? Say you have an entire essay, and you want to find where it says potato. You would say, okay, this search query, I want you to look for potato. Then it would search files, potato. Or I guess this would be, if you want the title to, okay, so you're looking through a folder for a document with the title of potato. You say, okay, the title contains potato. I don't know why I'm on potatoes, but they're good, starchy. That's essentially what regex is for. There's a lot more complicated ways to use it, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But regex is used to find a string within another string. Gemini Flash mode was not great in this project at doing that. So I had to look into that. So I tried it. Still didn't work. I tried it some more. Still didn't work. So at this point, I had to do some research and just move on. I fixed it myself. I looked into, okay, how do I use this search query and the search files correctly? I looked into the Google Apps script documentation for that, and that's pretty simple. In fact, I am going to show you how simple it is. Apps script, search files, class drive app script. Right, okay. That allows you to find files that match a specific criteria defined in the search query. So, this AI mode is basically Gemini. But if we come here, we can see that there is a search files parameter. And here, we can see that some details about how to use it, right? So, in fact, we can go to Google Drive SD Software Development Kit, I think that's what it stands for, and we can see the specific things that you can look for. So I looked into this, and I modified the script so that it would work. That was pretty straightforward. I showed you some documents and whatnot. All right, then I moved forward. Okay, I went back into the chat and pasted some consolidated ones. Can you give me an overview of the next step? So I basically did this for the rest of the steps. The next biggest hurdle was, oh, you know what? I'm going to take a bit to talk about this. Test. test a lot, especially with using code from an AI. You need to test it to make sure that you're getting what you expect in the documents. So run it. If it fails, figure out why. If you don't know what your code is doing, that's a problem because you need to be able to fix it. Also, one quick aside here too. Artificial intelligence is not great at writing secure code. What that means is that if it's important code for a procedure, if somebody can interact with it, it might not be great. That's really vague, isn't it? Say you put a form on a website that connects to a database. If your website isn't secure in the sense, well, if your website isn't secure, if it isn't secured properly, somebody can inject a query into the form and essentially pull all the records from that database or run an executable file that trashes your computer. So one of my projects in the next little bit will be putting together a secure code checklist so that when you use AI, you also put together, you go through the checklist, say, okay, are my API keys anywhere? Are there any places where a customer can input information? Is that sanitized, etc. Just to make sure, because there are a lot of risks with using an AI as a coding solution, and you need to make sure that you are monitoring that appropriately. So that's a quick aside. Test it, make sure it's secure, etc. Now, the next biggest hurdle was, guess what? Regex, because that's great. This time it was a different place. It was in the task block pattern. I was looking for the tasks within the document. I added the tag of incomplete. So this is saying, all right, look for incomplete. Should there not be... That's weird. Usually there's like a something else there. So this is saying, look for the tag of incomplete and then stuff after it. It took a while to figure all this out, and even looking at this now, I'm like, I know this is, what is it? Is it greedy or is it not greedy? I can't remember. But it's saying, okay, so after incomplete, I think it's take all the letters until you find another this or the end of the document. I believe that's what this is. I think that, yeah, I think that's what it is. Yes. But that took a while to figure out. I had to do some looking into regex there because this did not give me what I wanted. But when I did, I I said, hey, for future reference, this wasn't completely correct. I had to modify it for this. And it was like, oh, that's insightful and correct. Then it was like, for future reference, here's why your modification was necessary and resulted. Anyways, regex, not great with Gemini. So I was like, okay, so task is complete. How about 4 and 5? I just did 4. And I mean, this worked. This worked. I was able to create a template, an agenda template, and then create another document, and add it did what I wanted it to do. I do want to modify the template a bit because it doesn't look that great, but it works, and I focus on that first, probably to my detriment sometimes. So, all of this to say, it was really helpful using Gemini to start stuff and to debug. Now, I want to do something interesting. I want to try this live. I have put the query together describing what I want. Hello, Gemini. Every week I need to create an agenda for a standard meeting, and I want to automate that process. I'll be using Google Docs, Google Calendar, and Google Apps Script. Can create the functions necessary to perform the following. Then I've listed out the different items, all that, and let's see what it does. while it's thinking, my overall thoughts from this unit, this topic, the readings, we dove into specific sections that are relevant to me, right? Productivity, content creation, if you can call this content, and another one, productivity, content creation. There's one more. What was it? Super relevant, you can tell. Coding, what we were just doing. Great. The assignments were getting my hands dirty with the actual automation process was awesome. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look. Okay, so it has these as global variables. That's interesting. Probably makes more sense. Oh, this is something. This has try, whereas this doesn't. That is probably wise, and that is a difference in using the pro model. What this does, if it runs into an error, the try catch will log the error instead of just break. So, error management is one of those secure coding practices that is helpful. Let's see. I mean, look, this looks pretty good, but like, do I just run it? You know, do I have actually? Let me see. Need to modify that. Okay, so it walks me through that. So it generated the whole file. I do want to take a look at it. So let me create a new document. Oh, but I need a template, don't I? Let's see, this is just the code file, right? Let's copy over this. I have it saved somewhere else. So, Control-Alt, Control-V. Wait a second, I do have it saved somewhere else, right? Triggers. Yeah, this is not the one that's running. Okay, Control-Alt, Control-Alt, Control-V. All right, now let's look at the template ID. This is just going to be my email, 69@gmail.com. Okay, my destination folder ID is, I believe it's this. Okay, template ID. It's right here. Now this is in, let's see, that's the folder ID, that's the template ID. Okay, let's see. All right, let's run it. Oh, right, you have to do this. Every time you create a new Google App script, you need to give yourself, you need to allow yourself to be able to use it. Basically, I'm wondering if I just, okay, no previous agenda found. So that's a problem, but let's see what it sent to me. All right. If you look, here's the agenda for the upcoming weekly meeting. Any different topics? Let's open that up. And it has this. Like I mentioned, not great. So this is that needs to be replaced. But I mean, it worked. So perhaps I should have relied more on Gemini and just looked at reviewing. So, anyways, those are the assignments for this week. It was good getting my hands dirty in some actual code. I have done a little bit since then as well. It's been really good. I am having a lot of fun. So I recommend that you also have fun. That we'll see you next week.